tell us what's something special about traditional food, or because I think we share something in common.
We do. Obviously, we both probably enjoy lipap.
Yeah, pap and we have vors.
Yes. I'm sure you're gonna devour that.
So do you guys call it braai as well?
We call it braai.
Thank you. Nobody knows what braai is. So for those who don't know, which is probably majority of people, braai is actually barbecue. Yes. But why do we call it braai? I don't know.
It's just how it's sizzled and cooked on the barbecues.
Honestly, I think it comes down to maybe the meat that we have and the way we prepare and the sauce. Yeah.
So and it's simple.
So
you just need salt most of the time. Yeah. And you won't really, if you try, you'll never be the same.
But do you guys have anything else that's more traditional? Like, I don't know. Because South Africa, I'll talk about South Africa. We have, again, like pap and vors. But then we also have, like more from the Afrikaner side, we have boikikos. So like cooked with like this cast iron pot. I'm sure you maybe have seen. And also like, with charcoal. But then it's basically a stew. Dump all the soup in there, ingredients, delicious. And then my side, which is the Indian side, we have obviously curry. And the South African curry is also quite different to India curry.
Is it sweeter? Or?
I don't think it is sweeter, but it's more about, I don't know, the way they prepare it, like the biryani that my auntie and them would make. Oh, it's so good because there's this insulator type material bag that they make. So they cook the pot, but they don't fully cook everything. It's half cooked. And then they put the pot in the this insulator thing, put it out in the sun. And then it slow cooks it. Whatever process goes on there, it just makes it amazing and delicious.
I think then, speaking of the spices, that's when they really mix in well.
Yes.
And so talking about how delicious it is. I know in our country we do sell a lot of Indian curry spices. We have a specific shop for that. And it's always delicious to mix it with our type of food as well. So Indian culture is big in Swaziland.
Well, let's talk maybe a little bit about like what's the majority of cultures?
Right
is it
now,
a mix as well?
It's a mix, and I think that's something that most countries don't know, that Africa is quite a international continent. And in our country, obviously, we have a lot of Asians, Indian, Chinese. We also have Portuguese mix. So a lot of people will speak Portuguese, actually. My mom is from Mozambique, so she speaks a little bit of Portuguese most of the time. So it's quite diverse.
It's very diverse. South Africa is the same, and that's why I think that's the beauty of like Africa in bringing all this diversity. And honestly, like even though in the past that was what's kind of divided us, but I see it for us, especially the younger generation of South Africans, that like this stuff should be what unites us, right? It should unite every culture in that we are all from this motherland, and we can bring a part of it that's different. And I think if we can unite on that front, Africa is so amazing.
Africa could do so much. And I think that's one thing Swaziland is known for, the best music festival, because I think that's where people realize how beautiful and diverse Africa is when the music comes together.
And Africans, we got the beat, man.
You can't go wrong with the beat.
They're so good.
Freestyle now.
Like when I'm in school, all my African friends, they love listening to house music, and then they would just dance and so I grew up in Asia, so I don't know if that had to do with it, but I try to keep up, I just don't have the same rhythm as they do. You put on any beat and then boom, they're there. It's natural, it's innate in you. But you mentioned music, like, is it also just, because again, maybe people might just think like it's all like, African music, like, Lion King. But like, what other?
A lot of the Western music beats are influenced by African music, even dance. As we know, a lot of the dances Beyonce has come up with was obviously influenced by West Africa, South Africa. There's terms for it, of course, the dances like Kwaito music. There's Kwaito dance. So when it comes to music, there's a huge influence with Africa and the different countries. And I think it's nice because that's how you can know a culture as well.
Yes.
If you you don't know the people, through the music you can have an idea of who they are.
Music is a universal language. You don't have to understand what they're saying, you can feel it, right? Maybe we can touch on some of the pros and cons, or some of the differences, I guess, between Asia and Africa. You know, like I grew up again also in Africa and then also in Taiwan. And I mean, there are obviously some immediate big differences. I love both culture and both types of food, because Asia's food is, you know, the noodles, the rice, and it's also more communal in a sense. That I love that aspect about it, because for me personally, my family, we would gather every weekend together to have dinner together. So it'd be like, you know, my grandpa, then it'd be my dad and his siblings, and then the kids, so it's me and my cousins, and then actually my cousin has a baby, so it's 4 generations, you know, seated at one table and, you know, just catching up and sharing a meal. And I love that aspect about Asian culture, you know, because it is about like bringing people together. In Africa, I mean, obviously we do share food together, but I think it's a different experience, because I know when I was in South Africa and we'd, you know, invite friends to a Chinese restaurant, then there'd be like, what should I order? And it's usually always like, what am I eating? But we're like, hold up, we're gonna be sharing all of this, so, you know, because again, then we can connect, we can share cultures, and there's so much more to life living it this way.
Absolutely agree with you. I think as third culture kids, or anyone who is very open to different cultures, when in a certain culture, we tend to adapt, especially adapt to the healthy things. And it's important because then we get to connect more with the people and the locals, instead of having a judgmental perspective, or not being open to want to know the people and the culture, which maybe that's why we've enjoyed these other countries more, because we were able to adapt.
So maybe let's touch on this final topic, which I think is very relevant. So Taiwan and Eswatini's relationship. Now, because most people might know that Taiwan and Eswatini are the only country in the African country that we have still a diplomatic relationship with. So in the past, I remember that, you know, South Africa had good ties with Taiwan years ago, but over the years, many of the countries stopped having relations with us. And so it's quite amazing that Eswatini is the only African country that actually still has this diplomatic tie. Now, can you tell us more about that, being the diplomatic's daughter? And
I mean, apart from diplomacy, Taiwan has always had a great relationship with Swaziland. Back to the 1980s, actually. So before we officially opened an office in Taiwan, we did have a relationship. I remember Taiwanese coming to my home bringing rice, you know, to visit my parents. But my dad was the first one to open the embassy here in Taiwan officially. And I thought it was great because he loves his country. He loves serving our country, and being in politics, it's always been a dream of his. So to be able to be the first ambassador to represent Swaziland in Taiwan has opened doors for our country and Taiwan to maintain this relationship.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you, Dad.
Appreciate that.
And maybe that's why I'm still in Taiwan. He's been able to bring investors in Swaziland, which has really brought a lot of jobs for our people. Also, in not just like investments, but the relationship in diplomacy for other resources, technology. I feel like the younger people and even our industry are more into advanced technology and learning from Taiwan. The medical field, there's a lot of students coming to Taiwan to gain more knowledge about the medical instruments that are used in Taiwan. And the donations that Taiwan also provides for our country has pushed us Swazi people to want to learn more and really understand there's more to the world than what's really offered. So it's really an honor, and I could witness that because I was student ambassador to recruit students to come study in Taiwan. And you know, I think it's not just diplomacy or diplomatic relationships in the mission, but it's also in education, in the industries in different sector. That's why we're probably still holding a strong relationship, that it's not just a title, but we have actually exchanged a lot with each other as nations, and we want to maintain that.
Yeah, mutual benefits, right? I think that's always that's important in any relationship. If it's only one-sided, then I mean, it's not gonna last.
Point?
And it's so amazing that we can have people that can come here and experience, and likewise we can have people go over and experience. Because I mean, just being able to travel is a blessing, but when you are out in a different environment, it really opens up your mind. It really opens up your worldview, and I mean, you get to experience the world in such a different way.
Yes, just and it's no longer politics anymore.
It's
individuality, trying to connect with the world and your purpose, actually.
Exactly. And we see the difference, we see what's common, and at the end of the day, you realize we are all humans, right? We all experience fear, joy, happiness, and
we need each other.
We do, exactly. That's so important. And I think that's a great point to end this on. We thank you so much. Do you have any final thing you want to share or say before we sign off here?
Well, first of all, thank you, Wade, for having me. I love Africa, and it's great that I can talk about Africa. I learned new things today as well. And I just want to encourage you as people that to always be open, to be flexible, to connect with different nationalities, because that's how we are able to understand each other and work together in unity. And I hope this segment will open more perspective of who is Africa, what is Africa, and how can we understand more of each other in that way as well.
Well said. Well, so if you want to learn more, you can join us on our FUNDAY website. We thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
We'll sign off here. So I'm Wade.
And I'm Diva Millet.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.